Welcome to all the participants of the TeachX competition. This is session 205 in the workshop for the preparation of the Cambridge CAE exam, C1. I'm just doing this lead in for you now, and we're waiting for our participants to get on board. Okay, see you in a few. Right, so participants of the TeachX competition, welcome again to session 2. This is number 205 of the workshop for the best preparation for the Cambridge C1 exam that's going to be used within the competition, and we're striving to do the best job we can do. We've understood that if we want to do well on the exam, we need to do the work. We need to practice. We need to study. Okay? Invest time and effort. So in saying that, again, welcome everyone. Again, I'm very proud of all of you. You've done a great job so far. But have you seen the movie Highlander?
Highlander, just
Highlander.
not. I haven't seen.
That's the immortals that live through time. And they had a saying, there can be only one. So there's only one winner, one number one in the competition, right? Well, there's number two and there's number three. But we want that number one spot, don't we? Right, okay. So it is a competition. Right, guys. So today, yesterday was an orientation overview of the exam itself. We went into the scoring, and even though this scoring is important, they're going to be dealing with the scoring in the coordinating office, but it's still relevant. We need to understand we need to better understand how we did or how we do on the exam. Okay, but today we're going to look at the reading and use of English in much more detail. Okay, we have a couple activities other than information. We have a few activities that we're going to go into, but I'm going to give them to you for homework assignments. Okay, and that's dealing specifically with reading part 5 and 6 because it's the most demanding and it's the most time consuming, and let's say it's the trickiest in paper 1. Okay, so let's just jump into it. Let me just share my screen. Let me close this up so you can see the screen here. Right, let's start here. Right, I'm going to touch on the book here. This is the book that I provided you in the links below yesterday's video. Hopefully everyone received the link for that, right? So everything that we looked at yesterday is linked in the description below the video. Okay, I'm not going to go a lot into detail here because we're going to look at this on the website, which goes into a bit more detail in the different parts, right? But what's always important is how you can improve your chances, things to study, how to better prepare yourself. Okay, now, and this is key here. For this paper, you need to study things like collocations, words that often go together. We know what those are. Dependent prepositions, register, style, idiomatic language, word families, and affixes. Okay, these are different parts of the language that are going to be relevant in you understanding how to best answer the questions. Okay, there's some other things here, do's and don'ts, and well, should we go into that a bit? Okay, yeah, let's just look at this very quickly. Now, these are just some common questions. We're not going to read them. We'll just answer the questions. For example, this is right, use of English. Contractions count as 2 words, obviously. Okay. The different kinds of texts, they'll come from newspapers, magazines, journals, non-literary books, leaflets, brochures, etc. Okay, they're usually authentic materials, but they may have had some minor edits. Each text, this is in 5 and 6, I believe, is from 550 to 800 words, and in total, it's about 3 to 3,500 words in total. You will not lose marks for incorrect answers. So leave no question unanswered. Because I know this is bad for a teacher to say, but you might get lucky. If you don't know the answer, don't leave it blank. Guess. Because you will not lose marks for incorrect answers. Okay, so keep that in mind. Bear that in mind. All right, 2 scores in the reading and use of English paper. We've seen that, yes. 1 is on reading, parts 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And your use of English is based on 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, 3, and 4, sorry. Okay, and you'll be graded individually. There are 4 papers, but 5 parts to the exam. Okay, we talked about that briefly yesterday, right? And we'll look at this in just a moment. But all these lovely tips will help you. You have this book. You have it linked to yesterday's video. It'll be linked in the description of this video. Okay. The do's and don'ts. Right. Do's. Read the instructions, information about the text, titles, and the texts before starting to answer. Understand the context. Understanding the context is very important before giving an answer. Okay. Don't just jump right into the answer. In parts 1, 2, and 3, check your answers. Check your answers. I'm always finding mistakes, even in these materials here. Check that your answers have the right meaning, that they fit with the surrounding grammar, and that they fit with the rest of the whole text. Okay. Overall understanding, comprehension of the text, and make sure that your answers fit into those slots that they're asking about. Parts 5 to 8, read the text quickly, first for general understanding, and find links between the questions and areas or sections in the text before you look again closely at certain parts of the text. We have some activities that's going to dive into the, let's say, the tips and tricks how to best respond to these long texts. Right. In parts 5 and 8, 5 to 8, use the general context of the text to choose your answers. Don't just read a few lines before and after the point where you found the answer. Okay. In parts 5 to 8, make sure your choice answers the question fully, not just partially. Okay, we'll look at these individually, these different sections, in just a moment. Remember that in parts 1 and 5, the questions come in the same order as the answers in the text. Okay, we'll see that in the exercise we have for part 5. In part 7, when you choose an answer, when you choose an answer in each multiple choice question, decide whether the other 3 are wrong. Make sure that each paragraph does not fit. Finally, we'll look at these individually and we'll understand this a bit better. Reread the whole text when you have placed all the paragraphs to make sure it all makes sense. Right, okay. We'll look at that in part 7. Allow enough time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet and don't wait until the end. It's best to copy your answers for each part to your answer sheet as you finish that part. Right. Don't get caught with your pants down, is what we say in America. If you leave everything to the end and they stop the exam and your answers are only like chicken scratch in your notebook, then you failed the exam. You know that. Or maybe they'll make some special exceptions, but don't wait to the last minute. Okay. Right. Don't use a pen on the answer sheet. Use a pencil. Answers written in pen cannot be read by the marking machine. Okay, I think we have some leeway, but still, don't use a pen. Use a pencil. Rub out any answers you want to change using an eraser. Okay, right. That's another reason to use a pencil and not a pen. You can change your answer. Parts 1 and 4, don't leave any question unanswered. I've said that. Don't write more than one answer for any question, even if you think there are 2 possible answers. Don't give alternative answers for any questions, because they'll mark it as they'll mark it wrong. Don't copy the words onto the answer sheet for part 1. Only one letter, A, B, C, or D, is necessary. Okay, we'll scan these in just a moment. Maybe we'll look at that very quickly. Let me get to the bottom here. Parts 5 to 8. Don't use your world knowledge or personal opinions to answer these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Don't use a pen on the answer sheet. Use a pencil instead. It's easier to correct answers if you change your mind. Okay. Don't select any answer after reading only one section in parts 6 and 8. We're going to be looking at these individually. Excuse me. Don't reread every section for every question in parts 5 and 8. Okay, we'll be looking at part 5. We'll be looking at all of them right now. Um, Saying that, let's just have a look at the sample exam. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and let's get to know this. Let's get to know our little friend a bit better. Okay, right. Maybe that's a bit too big. Right,
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a bit too big. Right. Okay. So in part 1, and I have this here. Let's do it this way. Let's start here. Now this is our lovely Cambridge site, filled with information. Okay, we're pulling a lot of stuff from this site. Okay, um, and a quick summary. We've seen this already. Okay, now part 1. It's a text which which there are some. There's I'm getting many sounds from people entering the meeting. Sorry, and they kind of interrupt me. A text in which there are some numbered gaps, each of which represents a word or phrase. After the text, there are 4 possible answers for each gap, and you have to choose the correct answer, A, B, C, or D. And we've understood that we do not write the word in the gap; we only write the letter. Okay. Now, this is what I like a lot about this, the information from the website, because in every part, it's telling you what to focus on, how to study, how to prepare. Here, it's based on vocabulary, your knowledge of vocabulary, idioms, collocations. We've seen that these are words that just naturally and normally go together. Shades of meaning. Shades of meaning. Okay, and I've got a definition here for you. And we've all well, I haven't seen the movie, but we've all heard of 50 Shades of Grey, right? Well, this is shades of meaning. Okay, and this is the subtle differences between similar words like happy and ecstatic. They can mean about the same thing, but ecstatic is a bit stronger than happy, and it's a shade like let's call it adverbs of frequency. This is this is something we've had in our classes repeatedly. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the differences are so small that you really can't tell the difference, but there is a difference in the way and the tone and the way they're used in normal natural speech. So shades of meaning. Okay, they have a lot of this on the web, but I could not find anything shades of meaning for C1 level. So you might have to go to B1, B2. They have information online for that. If this is a weak spot, right? Okay. Phrasal verbs, fixed phrases, etc. Okay. There are 8 questions. Each carries 1 mark for each correct answer, and this is what it looks like. This is the beast. Okay. Choose A, B, C, or D. You might have seen this. Okay. This is the same exam as the online version. Okay. So read the text, and you have to choose the correct answer here. Catch, win, achieve, or receive. Many times here, you can use the context to understand which word is most appropriate. Okay, which one is correct. For example, after years studying North American black bears, in the mhm,
Tradition.
actually, it's given to us here. D, in the conventional way.
The conventional.
Conventional way. Everyday way, doesn't sound right. Common way, Um, is there a common way to study bears? I don't know. A straight way? No.
After years studying.
Right. Okay. So you need to study vocabulary here. I don't see this as, let's say, a huge challenge. But
Yeah.
I will say that I quickly ran through part one um, on the online sample exam, and and me, I was very very confident with myself, and I was just whizzing through them, flying through them, and I thought, okay, I'll get C2. I won't miss anything, but I did miss one. I got C2, and it's only because I didn't pay attention to a preposition collocation with one of the words. I didn't take the time to analyze the context of the text, and I got it wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
it does beg for some attention here. Use the context. You're probably going to understand all of the words on the list, but it's the idea is if you know how they're combined together with different text and used properly in the context of the reading. Okay, that's one. Questions?
No,
Right?
it's
Are you
good.
responding for the group? Are we still a group?
But
Yeah, we're
am
11.
I good?
We're 10. Right. Okay. Right. At any part during the presentation, if you have a question, feel free to interrupt me. That's fine. Because
Mm-hmm.
if there's a question that you have and it's relevant to you as an individual, it's probably relevant to everyone else. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Part two is an open close test, a text in which there are some gaps, each of which represents one missing word. You have to find the correct word for each gap. This is dealing specifically with grammar and vocabulary. 8 questions,
Mm-hmm.
1 mark for each correct answer. Let's have a look at part two. Right. Okay. Um, okay. Again, you have a close test here, and right, I believe you're writing directly in the gap, and this is going to be on your answer sheet, not here. You'll have of course, you'll have an answer sheet going with each of your exam papers. Okay. So the truth is, right. So you'll write into your answer sheet for each individual question. Write in pen or in pencil, sorry. Don't write in pen, write in pencil, so you have the opportunity to erase and correct your answer. Okay, right? Let's look at part three. Um, this is word formation. A text containing 8 gaps. Each gap represents a word. At the end of the line is a prompt word, which you have to change in some way to complete the sentence correctly. Word formation or transformation, I like to say, specific to vocabulary. 8 questions, 1 mark for each correct answer. Let's have a look at that. Have a look at the beast. Right. Again, you're writing directly into your um, answer sheet. Okay. And here it is. You can see what it is. It's a thematic reading, and then they've chosen specific words, given you the base word, and then you have to transform this word into the appropriate form for the context.
Mm-hmm.
Syntax, grammar, context. Okay, right. Next, part four. Um, each question consists of a sentence followed by a keyword and a second sentence with a gap in the middle. Mhm. You have to use this keyword to complete the second sentence in 3 to 6 words so that it means the same as the first sentence. Mhm. Here we have grammar. Our focus here is grammar, vocabulary, and collocation. Here we have 6 questions, up to 2 marks for each correct answer. That would um, reflect the
Okay.
complexity of your answer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's look at the beast here. I say that candidly. It's not a beast. It's a thing. Excuse me. Okay. So let's look at the example. Now this is going to be challenging, guys. This is going to be challenging, and I'm going to show you because I'm going to show you um, some of the. I'm going to show you the answers in just a moment. Okay, but let's look at the example. For example, James would only speak to the head of department alone. We understand that. Okay. On. Would anyone like to? Oh, okay, it's right here. I was going to say, would anyone like to guess? I'll guess. Let me see. Looks difficult. Right. James insisted on speaking to the head of department alone. Okay, insisted on. This is a strong collocation, a prepositional collocation.
Mhm.
Okay, so we need to know what these are. But I want to. Someone else wanted to sign in, and I didn't take action. Wait. Has to mute. Has to mute. No, I guess not. Okay, we're okay. Right. Look at this one. Number 25. Excuse me, guys. My brother now earns far less than he did when he was younger. The keyword is nearly. Would anyone like to guess?
Almost just there.
Hmm?
Almost, nearly, almost.
My brother now earns far less. Far less.
Far less.
Yes.
Nearly as much as, maybe. No.
Didn't earn, or does no, doesn't earn.
Nearly as much as, yeah.
Right. My brother.
Yeah.
Doesn't earn
Doesn't.
So
Okay.
much.
Nearly as much as.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Nearly.
Now earns are.
My brother doesn't earn too
No.
much.
Nearly as much as.
Okay. Everyone.
Nearly as much.
Yeah, doesn't earn
Doesn't
as
earn
much.
nearly so much. No, as he did when he was young.
Okay. Everyone, fix your answers in your mind. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go to part 4, and we'll. Opa. Right. Right. Does not or doesn't earn nearly so or as
Much as.
much. Right.
Mhm.
So okay, now here, this is also very important. There are variations, but you should never write both. You should never do nearly so / as. Only write one answer. But there are usually more than one possibility. Sometimes more than one possibility. Here, especially with preposition combinations here. And let's look back on the exam. Okay, but here we need to be careful, and we need to take the time to work it out, because you have right, you're talking in the present here, you're referring to the past. You have to take many things into consideration in this part of the exam. It's a bit tricky. Okay, right here, write only the missing words in capital letters. Okay.
Mr. Chesson, I've got a question. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. You can call me Mark Anthony. You can call me Tony.
Yeah.
Mr.
Can we use another word instead of this word? Pull it, for example, pull it. Here's this. We could see that right now, just instead of pull it was use it, replace it. Being replaced, yeah?
No, wait. Look at pulled.
Let's
It's
back
always
to the answers. Just
no, this is always pulled. This is key. You must use this word. This is mandatory. And the difference between
replace it. Just let's back to the answers. Just here's was it written, replace it.
Right, okay, and replace, because that's that's part of the original text, and you need to use that.
Oh, come on, I'm sorry.
Otherwise, it would not be complete. But look here. Now, this is from 1 to 2 points, and the 2 points is it deals with the complexity and completeness of your answer. If you don't get all of this in, you may still get 1 point. But if you do a great job and you utilize this, you're using the right preposition collocations, you don't forget to put the additional information here that you'd need to complete the meaning of the sentence, and then you'd probably get 2 points. We want 2 points in all these questions. Okay, right? Let's keep going. Part 5. It's a text with some multiple choice questions. For each question, there are 4 options, and you have to choose A, B, C, or D. The focus here is reading for detail. Now we have an activity for part 5 and 6. Opinion, tone, purpose, the main idea, implication, and attitude. Okay, so these are all things you need to you try to take in consideration when reading the text. Okay, like I said, we have an activity. We're going to look at that in just a moment. There are 6 questions, up to 2 marks for each correct answer. Okay, let's have a look at the beast. Right, part 5. Now, this is a wordy text. It's a lot of information. Now, and it is most definitely at C1 level. Okay, now we're going to look at different ways of approaching this or attacking this, okay, in the activity we're going to do next. But basically, you have this huge text. Let's call it huge, because we are time limited, okay, and it would be very difficult for us to slowly and methodically go through each line, trying to understand a word that we don't understand, okay, and get stuck there. Okay, we're going to look at this in the activity, but we need to skim for gist. We need to try to spot important information. We need to process this information as quickly and as effectively as possible. Okay, so we have the text. Then we have 6 questions based on different aspects. Now here, in the first, now what's good about this is there are 5 paragraphs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these questions are each based, they're in sequence. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, and paragraph 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, right. And the last question is usually dealing with some type of overall global understanding of the text in reference to something. For example, an idea reoccurring in the text is that people who have studied color have, etc., etc., etc. So you have questions based on individual paragraphs, which make it easier for you to process the information. And then the 6th question is almost always some global test of comprehension in regards to some aspect of the text. Okay, right? We're going to look at this in more detail, so I don't want to do that now. Part 6, cross text multiple matching. Right, 4 short texts with multiple matching questions. You must read across all the text to match a prompt to elements in the text. Okay, we'll look at that in just a moment. Okay, our focus here, understanding and comparing opinions and attitudes across texts. 4 questions here, up to 2 points for each. No, not up to 2 marks for each correct answer. I stand corrected. It's the same in part 5. Okay, it's not up to. You either get 2 points or 0 points. Part 6. Okay. Again, you have 4 excerpts. Okay, and I believe these are right. These are they're about the same subject. They're connected. Okay, by topic. So you have these 4 different paragraphs. Then you have these 4 prompts. Okay, let's look at the directions here. You're going to read 4 reviews of a book about how architecture can affect the emotions. For questions 37 to 40, choose from the reviews A to D. The reviews may be chosen more than once. Okay, so you might have AA, C, D, for example. But you need to read these concepts here represented in these questions and match them to the different reviews here. Now, you know that reviews can be different, so they're going to be coming from different points of views. There might be goods or bads. You understand, there might be dealing with different aspects of how architecture is beneficial, or maybe debating why it's not. It depends, okay? And these will reflect these different ideas. And you'll need to match those to your 4 different excerpts here, or the reviews. Okay, let's keep going. Part 7, a gapped text. A single page of text with some numbered gaps which represent missing paragraphs. After the text, there are some paragraphs which are not in the right order. You have to read the text and the paragraphs and decide which paragraph best fits each gap. Focus here how to understand the structure and development of a text. Right? 6 questions, 2 marks for each correct answer. See what that looks like here. Part 6. Right. Let's read the directions here. You're going to read an extract from a magazine article. 6 paragraphs have been removed from the extract. Choose from the paragraphs A to G the one which fits each gap 41 to 46. There is one extra paragraph which you do not need to use. Mark your answers on the separate answer sheet, okay? But you can take notes in your workbook. Okay, so basically, here's the whole text. And then you have some missing chunks. So what you need to do now, and this is exercise, this is part 7. This is pretty straightforward. You have to read each of these and understand where they would go in sequence of information and flow of the story. Right. Sounds a bit demanding. Okay. But you can do it. And there's a cat. Okay, let's keep going, guys. And part 8, last but not least, it's a multiple matching, a series of multiple matching questions followed by a text or several short texts. You have to match a prompt to elements in the text. The focus here, reading for specific information, for detail, opinion, and attitude. Okay. You have 10 questions here, 1 mark for each correct answer. And this is part 8. Okay. Let's look at the instructions. It's good to know what you need to do before you even sit down to do the exam. So you're going to read a magazine article in which 5 career consultants give advice about starting a career. For questions 47 to 56, choose from the consultants A through E. The consultants may be chosen more than once. Mark your answers on the separate answer sheet. Right. Here we go. Which consultant makes the following statements? And I'm sure it's not going to be in the exact same wording. Okay. So you'll see the consultants here, A, B, C, D, and E. You'll study and understand their points of views. I'm sure there are going to be some nuances here that are going to be tricky, that are not going to be very straightforward. So make sure that when you find the information that you think responds to one of the questions, as it's said in the do's and don'ts, don't just read one sentence above and below it, read the whole thing, because there might be a different point of view hiding somewhere in the text. So you'll need to scan and understand these, go back, reread these, and then try to match these questions to the consultants, or the consultants rather, to the questions here. Okay. Any questions, guys, about this?
No,
No.
everything is understandable.
Right, okay. Now, again, you'll have links to all this that you can go back, and if something is not absolutely clear, then I suggest go back and reread it, look at it again. until you understand it. We need to understand all the elements involved in the exam before we sit down to take the exam. The better we're prepared, the better we know exactly what we need to do and how to do it, and the best way to do it, the better we're going to be on the exam. We're going to feel more confident, more prepared, and ready to take the exam. You know, exams are stressful. We've seen our students take them, and sometimes they're just shaking out in front of the exam hall, sweating and almost throwing up and that sort of thing. So the better we are prepared, the more we know, the better we know what we are expected to do and how to do it, the better we will do on the exam. Okay, so we've seen the sample exam here. It's on the website, but I'll also link it to the descriptions below this video. Okay, now let's see. We've done the book. We've done this. Right. We've looked at the sample examination. Now, like I said, how are we doing on time? Right. Now, this is your homework, by the way. Okay, they provide two different activities based on part 5 and part 6 because it's the most demanding of the reading exam, is what they feel. Okay. Now, these are quite long-winded, are quite long. Okay. We're going to go into them. There are some questions here that I'm going to ask you to respond to on your own after the session. Like I said, these will be provided in by links beneath in the description of this video once I get it processed and posted to YouTube. Okay, right. So let's just jump into it. Okay. Right. The reading and use of English part 5, multiple choice. Right. The tips, these are very valuable. Read widely in English. Read, read, and read. Okay. The reading and use of English exam covers a variety of topics and text types. Read a wide variety of texts in English. Right. For example, your daily task activity that I've given you, and I'm hoping that you'll use to practice. Magazines, newspaper articles, academic texts, and short stories. Step out of your comfort zone. Right. This is very important. Step out of your comfort zone to build a range of formal and informal vocabulary related to different topics. Okay. Now I'm going to give you some links on where you can go to do some extracurricular reading. Okay, they're actually here. I'll show you them as we get to them. We'll look at them. Right. Summary. In this self-access lesson, you will review the format of part 5. We've seen that, of the reading and use of English paper. Choose a text to read. Okay, this comes with reading activities. Practice strategies to encourage you to read quickly to get a general idea, scanning for gist, right? Practice strategies to help you read for more detail. Explore strategies for understanding new vocabulary and text organization. Okay. Excuse me. Let's keep going. Start with the facts. Reading and use of English part 5. Okay, we don't need to keep repeating all that. Start with the facts. 1, it helps to have a very clear understanding of what you have to do in the exam. I've said that. What you know about, okay, the reading and use of English part 5. There's a little true or false question just to make sure you know, we know, you know what we're talking about. We can answer these now because we've just looked at it. So, right. You can review this when you're looking at the document later. Right. Next, before reading, take an active interest, or try to develop an interest in the topic that you are tasked to read. Take 30 seconds to mentally prepare yourself that, this is interesting. I want to read this, because we feel exactly how we tell ourselves we feel about something. Either you love spinach or you hate spinach. Maybe you've never tried it, but you hate it. because you've decided that you hate spinach. Okay, everything's set in the mind. So if you focus on, you have a topic, okay, you don't know anything about it, then say, oh, okay, this could be interesting. I'm going to learn something new. Start with a positive aspect, not saying, oh my God, I know nothing about this topic, for example. So just a little pep talk there. Top tip from your teacher. Right. Okay. You're going to choose a text to read in English, connected to the notion of success. Okay. It helps to think about what you know about the topic in the reading, because this activates useful words and phrases. Okay. Things you might know about the topic. Why not try the bonus task before you read? Okay. Let's look at our bonus task. Right. Make notes on the questions below. Discuss your answers with your study partner, a friend, study partner. Okay. I hope you guys are developing relationships that maybe you all realize that it's better to study with someone than try to study alone, especially in the speaking part of the exam. I suggest developing these relationships now, or finding some native speaker or someone with a very high level of English that you can study with, speak with, bounce ideas off of, and just generally practice your English. Right. So this will be like it's a process of developing your own ideas on how to mentally formulate your comprehension of topics. Okay, and then the following text. 1. What skills or characteristics do you think a person needs in order to achieve academic success, business success, sporting success? Would you describe yourself as successful? Why or why not? Which kind of success is most important to you right now, and why? Okay, because um, you're set with the task of reading about notions of success. Okay, so a notion is a different idea, type of idea. Right. Check the reading tip before you choose your text and start reading. Right. Top tip: use your existing knowledge and interest to improve your understanding of the text. Right. Before you read a text, ask yourself the following questions. This is important. What do I already know about the topic? What can I predict about the text based on the headings, pictures, and the first paragraph? You know, the first paragraph always tells you you have an introduction. It gives it includes the topics that are going to be usually include the topics that are going to be extended in the text article or whatever. Okay, so you can understand a lot just from the first paragraph. What do I want to find out about the topic? Okay, what do you want to know? What instantly are you curious about based on the topic? Okay, think about what you know already, or thinking about what you know already can help you understand the text. Okay, right. Open up those channels of comprehension, this and that, positive thinking, getting interested in the topic, and you know it's easier to understand or do something when you're interested in it. If it's not interesting and you don't want to do it, it's always more difficult. It's always you don't understand half of what you should. You need to find some interest in the topics. Okay, this is psychological. Okay, here now this is going to be your homework, but I'm going to show them to you. Step 1: choose the article below that interests you the most. They're all based on different notions of success. Okay, before you start reading, check out step 2. Okay, now I've opened these up. Right, and let's get to the top. Sorry, I was panning down. Right, fail productivity: how to turn yourself into a super learner. Right, business success requires memory. And then the last one: can you imagine your way to success? Okay, these are all lengthy articles. They're all C1, C2 level. Okay, but before you do that, um, Look at the title, the pictures and headings that go with your chosen article, and read the first paragraph. What do you think the article is about? What do you think the article will consist mainly of? Do you think the article will consist mainly of facts and opinions? Okay. Is the tone formal, neutral, or informal? Okay. Right. If you're not talking, can you mute your let's just say ask. Wait. I can do this. Sorry, dear. If you need to talk, just unmute and talk. That's fine. But it's causing some feedback in my microphone. Okay. So the idea is to look at the title. Okay. Here we have some statement here. You have the image. You have an image. And then you have the first paragraph. The idea here is trying to understand as much as possible about the topic, developing some internal expectations of some of the ideas that are that may be covered in the topic, right? And these are actually going to open up the mental processes that are going to help you understand it much quicker. You'll be able to read faster, read for gist. You'll be able to find information much quicker, but you need to understand. You need to be open to the topic. Basically, that's not exactly what they're trying to say, but this is just something in addition to what they're trying to say. Okay, right. So next is to read the topic. We're not going to do that now. Okay, we're not going to do that now. But let's just go a little bit farther down the rabbit hole, just like Alice did in Wonderland. Okay, right. The tips are very important. Right, reading for gist. I don't know if you do that. You do this in Uzbekistan and maybe Russian, because I believe you guys speak Russian. It's not a question, but maybe you do this in your own language. Surely you do. I do it in English all the time. But doing it in another language, in a second language, can be a bit more demanding. Okay. But there are steps you can do to improve your speed and your effectiveness reading for gist. Okay. This reading strategy is always useful, but particularly in part 5 of the reading paper, and it gives you a general understanding of the ideas, the style, the structure of the text. Okay. This helps your brain process the basic information first. So when you go back and look for more detail, you already have some knowledge of the text and it's easier to find. Actually, your mind can process much more than you actually comprehend. You know that. I'm not saying do that. But you know, speed readers, they've learned how to understand chunks of information, not words of information. Right. I'm not saying try to do that, but reading for gist is not focused. Okay, it's going to tell you right here. Sorry. Right. Task 1. Read the directions. You can do this at home. Now you're going to read the text you chose quickly to get a general understanding. This is often referred to as reading for gist. Time yourself. Don't spend more than 2 or 3 minutes reading for gist. If you use your phone or a digital device, you can get a more accurate timing, okay? So you know roughly how long it takes you to read for the main ideas. Remember, this is a timed exam. There are 8 parts to the reading. You have 90 minutes to complete the exam. Okay. As you read, don't worry about unfamiliar words. Don't stop to look up new words in the dictionary. Because you won't have that. You won't have a dictionary on the exam. We will look at how to deal with these in the next section. Okay, and I want to look at that together. Only because I've had to make a correction in this document because there was some type error. You'll see this in just a moment. Right. Reading for a reason will help you practice reading quickly. Look for the following information. Okay. Were the predictions you made in step 2 correct? Because in step 2, we made some predictions, didn't we? What do you think answering these questions here? Right? So I urge you to answer the questions, do the work. It won't take a long time. Do the work. Does the article answer the questions you wrote in step 3? Referring back here. We didn't cover this. Write 3 questions you're hoping to find answers to in the article. Okay. Once you look at the article that you've chosen to read, you've looked at the title, you've looked at the pictures, and you've read the first paragraph. Okay. Let's keep going. I know it seems a bit complicated, but this is actually training you to process a lot of information as quickly as possible and as effectively as possible. This is very important. Okay. Right. Reading strategies. Guessing meaning of vocabulary from context. Okay. Now I'm sure that your vocabulary is very good, but there are probably going to be words that you haven't encountered before. It's possible. Okay. Or words that you don't understand. Right. It is important to practice guessing the meaning of unknown words when you look at a text for the first time, looking at the context. In the exam, you cannot use a dictionary. You can find clues to help you from the context in the word formation itself. Okay. 1. Think about the words highlighted in blue boxes in the extract below, then answer the questions about the context and word formation to help you guess the meaning. You'll do this on your own, but look here. You probably know what reclaim means, okay? If you don't, look at the base of the word. You have re. Does it go into that? No, the answers are at the end. Means to repeat, to redo something. And to claim, you know what claim means. You can understand that word. So reclaim, to take back in a word. City dwellers, to dwell, right? Here you can understand about in the context. City dwellers, despite living relatively short distance. So these are people dwellers living in the city. Easy. Dual carriage, carriageway. Do we know what carriageway means? The British word. In America, it'd be dual lanes. Carriageway is a British word, and we have a problem here. But a lane would be one lane of a street, right? A carriageway. A wide. I have to show you the actual text. Sorry. Right. I fixed all the problems. Right. So the carriageway, okay, has to be negotiated in order to get there whilst it's few problems. Make it halfway as far. Right. Okay. I'll include this as a link below the in the description of this video. Sorry. And so you'll have the clean text here. Okay. Let me just get back to where we were. Right. The idea here is not to get stuck on words you don't understand. Keep reading the context and try to understand what the topic is, and then you can almost understand, because here later in the text there are those who can only make it as far as halfway with each push of the pedestrian crossing button. It gives you, guys, if you, please everyone mute your everyone. All right, everyone, please mute your microphone unless you're going to say something. You're more than free to interrupt me and ask questions, but until you do, please keep your microphone muted. Okay. So the thing here is scanning for gist, reading for gist. Thank you. Scanning for gist, okay, and then using the context to understand words that you might not be familiar with, or the words you might not understand. Usually you can find the meaning, okay? Don't get stuck on those. Right. You can look at this on your own. It's just dealing again with this text here. I'm going to leave that linked in the description below this video once it's posted, okay? Next, understanding text organization. How are we doing on time, guys? Okay, we're doing all right. Right. Reading part 5 also tests your ability to understand features of text organization, such as giving examples to illustrate and develop ideas, comparison, and referencing ideas expressed earlier in the text. Right. Reference words include words to avoid repetition. These are prepositions, different words that we use to represent a subject or an object mentioned earlier in the text. Words and phrases for giving examples, comparisons, contrasting and connecting ideas. Right, we know these, such as for instance, also, however, etc., etc., etc. Okay, they'll be in the document. You'll have access to this, right? And I want you to go ahead and read these questions and answer them for yourselves. Okay. Right, reading in more detail here. I just want to cover the high points here, and I'll leave the rest for you guys to do on your own, because we won't have time to do all these together. Okay. And reading part 5, you'll answer 6. Reading for more detail. Sorry. Part 5, you will answer 6 multiple choice questions that test your ability to understand detail, opinion, tone, purpose, main idea, and attitude of the writer, and to recognize text organization features. That's a lot in 6 questions. Right. Now read your text again. Let's look at 3 strategies you can try to practice reading in more detail. Strategy number 1, break the text into logical sections. On the exam, they've done that for you. In your notebook, write a summary in 1 or 2 sentences of each section. Okay, think about it. This is based on the text that you've chosen before. Do you think the writer's opinion about the topic is positive, negative, or neutral? Underline any words or phrases. It would be difficult to do on your computer, but you can mark them in a Word document, for example, or phrases that support your ideas. Do you think the writer's opinion about the topic is positive, negative, or neutral? And then phrases that support your idea. Okay. Strategy 3, reflect. What is the overall purpose of the text? What is it trying to achieve? Is it to give advice, to inform you, to recommend something to you, that you do something, a product? Is it to entertain you, to criticize, or maybe the purpose of the text to criticize something, or maybe the purpose of the text is something else? What might that be? Okay, you can actually do this to all 3 texts mentioned above. Practice makes perfect. The more you read, the more, okay, if you go through these texts, you're going to find higher forms of grammar and lexis and structure. You're going to have new vocabulary in the end. After you go through this, practice reading for gist, go back and read for detail, analyze the text as best you can to gain as much as you can from every element of the text. Okay, let's keep going. Right, then you have an exam practice task. It basically repeats the process you've done before on these articles here, these 3 that we looked at. Okay. All right, let's get back here. And then they give you, okay, more tips. Right, let's look at these together. Suggested process. Quickly read, it's just basically repeating it, but it's a summary. Quickly read the whole text to get a general idea of its topic, main ideas, and structure. Ignore unknown words. Read the questions one by one. Underline the key words in the first part of the question and locate the section of the text you think it relates to. 3, then look at the options A to D and decide which one is the closest in answering the question. The whole sentence has to match what is written in the text, not just partially. Underline the parts of the text that support your chosen answer. Right. Aim to spend no more than 15 minutes on this task. Let's just jump back again to part 5. because we went through that very quickly. Okay. Now, again, it's a lot of text. It's a lot to understand. They said, don't give yourself more than 15 minutes. 90 minutes total on this paper, and there are 8 different parts of the exam. So we need to be quick. So first, reading for gist. Don't get stuck on words you may not understand. Archetypal truths, for example. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't. Okay, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Scanning for a general understanding of the subjects. Now, in each paragraph is going to represent different ideas. We know that, okay? So try to identify the different ideas they're trying to communicate from each paragraph. Scanning. First, you need the introduction to a book about the history of color. Okay, we've got some idea there. Be open-minded, okay? Usually the first paragraph mentions a lot about everything in the text, but each paragraph is going to have its own it's going to be communicating its own ideas based on the overall topic. Okay, so again, scanning for gist. Don't take more than 2 or 3 minutes on this part, right? Then we read the questions. What problem regarding color does the writer explain in the first paragraph? Okay, then you go here, try to identify this, find it, for example, okay, and then look at your possibilities. Right, our view of color is strongly affected by changing fashion. Okay, let's just look at these very quickly, and you're not going to find the exact text in paragraph 1 or the first paragraph, but you're going to find something that means exactly what one of these 4 mean. Okay, now it's told you you need to answer everything in the question, not just half of it. So maybe one of these paragraphs will have a partial answer to one of these 4 ideas, but only one will have the complete answer. Okay, now this is maybe not a good example, but you need to keep that in mind. Okay, this answer here has to respond to the entire question here. Okay, right, because these might be similar in nature. Okay, right, you'll have this, and this will be a practice paper for you, for those who wish to practice. It'll be, you can find it on the site, but it'll be linked in the description below this video. Okay, right, and then it gives you the text that was mentioned in the excerpt we've seen here. Right, and actually it has the entire text. It has the questions. I'm sorry I didn't make this document. It's a bit blurry, but you can understand the text. It's readable. Okay, right, and I believe the answers. All right, these are the answers. But I would ask you to do the example. I mean, read the text, scan it for gist, read the questions, have a look at A through D, try to understand which paragraph the writer is. Right, okay, this is talking about an overall understanding of the paragraph itself. Right, so these questions are going to differ in nature, dealing with different aspects, either specific information, answers to questions, maybe an overall opinion of the writer, or something about what he's trying to say. So analyze the questions very carefully before you choose your answer. Okay, now it gives you the right answers, but then it's going to tell you, it's going to ask why. It's okay, you can look at them, that's fine. But the question is, why is this correct? Why is B the correct answer and not A, C, or D? Because these are probably very, very close. So be careful with that, guys, okay? All right, okay, let me get back to here. And I believe that's building vocabulary. Right, vocabulary is very, very important. We won't spend time going into this right now. It goes into ways that you can make vocabulary cards, this and that. I don't know if you have time to do that, but vocabulary is very important. As you're doing your readings here, as you're doing the daily tasks, okay, you have the opportunity of recording new vocabulary. Right, and one of the things I tell my students is that it's scientifically proven that a person needs to come into contact with a piece of information 7 times on average before it's actually taken into their personal repertoire of understanding, at a level of understanding. And the more you use that piece of information, for example, reading, writing, listening, and speaking, making examples, translating it, the more the different parts of the brain that you activate, and it increases your cognitive, let's say, powers of comprehension. It also improves your memory. You'll remember it much longer, and you'll be able to use it much easier. You know, we have two different levels: what we know and understand, and what we know and use. We need to try to close that gap, as I mentioned yesterday. Okay, right. I can't hear. If that's a question, I can't hear you. Right, we have another activity which is also going to be linked in the description below this video once it's uploaded on YouTube, and this is dealing with part 6. We only have a few minutes. How many are we right now? We are 10 plus 1. Right, okay, guys. 10 plus 1. Right. What I will do, guys, I'm going to leave this to you. But what's important here is these sources of information. Try to read 1 article every day. You could actually use this maybe. Well, I've asked you to read and research a topic every day in your daily tasks, the daily task activity. Again, this will be linked below every session. Okay, there'll be repetition of links, but these are also excellent sources of C1, C2 level language about a very wide variety of topics. Okay, so we'll leave that for you. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and close that. I'll organize all the links and upload all the documents to my Google Drive and give you access to them. But let me stop sharing here. Right, okay. Guys, are there any questions at the moment? I'm curious about some things. Have you started the teacher training courses?
Teacher training courses. From TKT, you mean?
Sorry?
From TKT, you mean?
TKD, yes.
Thank you, yes.
Right.
Not yet.
How's it going?
No, this session hasn't yet
Oh, that
started. It
Yeah,
must
not
be on 28th of March.
Aha, so after we finished.
Yes.
8th of March?
No.
No, it's on the same day that we finish. We go until Sunday.
Yes.
Right, okay. Right, okay. Guys, I'm curious about, okay, from teacher to teacher, right? I'm curious about the dynamics. Where are you teaching? Is it grade school, high school? Is anyone teaching in university or college?
We are teachers at school.
Which
Yeah,
grades?
secondary school.
Secondary.
Everybody here, secondary school, yeah.
Is that high school?
Yeah, here it's mixed, secondary and high school.
Yeah. Primary school, secondary school, are mixed.
Is it grades 1 to 7 and then 8 to 12? How is it broken down?
Yeah, that's not 12, but it's 11 actually.
Ah, 11. Okay.
Yeah, 1 to 11.
And how's it going in the classroom? How are your classrooms? Are they difficult? Are they challenging? I know these are questions that should be asked in the teaching session, but I'm also a teacher trainer. So I've been a teacher trainer for over 20 years. So I'm very curious about the dynamics you're dealing with in the classroom.
It depends on the class.
Right.
For
Okay.
some classes, it seems just easier, but for some classes, it seems challenging.
Mhm.
Pretty challenging.
Is that because of the individuals in the class, or you as a teacher? Maybe we should always criticize what we do because we can always do a better job. Sometimes we have bad days, and it reflects in the way we're teaching, the energy we're projecting to our students, our patience and understanding. Sometimes we have zero patience. I know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, what about the exam? When's the last time you guys have taken a serious exam?
As for me, I passed Ielts exam in September this year.
Okay, so you're fresh. Okay. The rest of you guys?
In January.
Well, as for me, I can remember exactly.
Well, let's not count the FCE.
3 years.
Hmm?
3 years ago.
3 years ago, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I know in college, university, you were used to taking exams. Okay, you were nervous. You had to study. Okay, do I know it? Do I not? Do I not? But psychologically, you were better prepared. And I know you've all just done the FCE. How did you do on the FCE? Obviously, you're all here, so you all passed. But was it challenging? Was it difficult? Was it easy?
It seems challenging, yeah. Just complex.
Mm-hmm.
For
Right.
some questions.
I would say so, yeah. Very challenging. I struggled especially with the reading, the last part of the reading.
Right. Okay. Now we went through some. Now, actually, okay, they won't all apply, and we're going to be looking at different ways that we can best approach this exam. But a key factor is time management. We understood that, right? There are four papers, and each one has their own timing. But inside each paper, each of the 4 papers, there are going to be activities that are going to take more time, that are going to be more demanding. And we'll need to, this is a personal choice also, we'll need to choose those activities that are going, we need to do the ones that are going to take the most time first. We know that.
Yes.
Maybe part 5 and part 6 would be something you want to do first. Now, we'll have to look at the points. We'll find some time to look at the point breakdown, the points breakdown, okay, from the different points. Because we've understood it's not a pass or fail exam. If you do well in one part of the exam, if you do well in 3 parts of the exam and you do poorly in another one, okay, your score is averaged out, so you'll have a final score. But we'll look at that. Give me a in next sessions we'll look at that also, dealing specifically with time management and how we can best approach with every different element on each of the papers. Okay. Right. What are you going to do to practice your English this evening?
Just as for me, I'm going to do some listening and reading.
Right. Okay. I'm going to assign you some activities. Right. Okay. I can't say that's mandatory, but if you want to do as well as possible on the exam, I would say that I would choose them to be mandatory. I would consider them mandatory. They're not mandatory from me, but it's the best preparation from Cambridge, combined with different, right, from Cambridge itself. So they've been doing this for many years. So they know the difficult parts of the exam, and they're giving you tools and instruments you can use to practice and perfect your your participation in that part of the exam, like the reading and use of English 5 and 6. I'm going to provide those for you. Right, we have a couple minutes. Opa, let me just right. I did want to show you some. Okay, from Darina, I'm going to prepare for by watching Ielts speaking tests. Okay, you can do that. I have a C1 test that we're going to look at together when we go into the speaking part of the exam, and actually the examiner's evaluation of the test itself. We're going to look at that together, guys. But I want to share something from a professional point of view, and right, this is what I've been working on for the last couple of years. Maybe it'll give you a better idea on who I am and what I do. Right, I've been developing an online language learning platform. It's called Dynamic English, and I'm working on different projects. I have a general English, a business English. I want to ask some questions about this. The dental English, I wrote a book and I produced some materials in Italy. This is a work in progress. And maybe I'll take a few minutes at the end of each of our sessions to look at this in more detail. But I have a question specific to, we don't need to look at them right now, but okay, you're dealing with high school. When your students finish high school, is there a mandatory state exam that they have to take?
Yes, of
Yes,
course. Yes, of course.
there is.
Yeah.
Now, is there a language aspect to that? Is there an English aspect to that exam?
Yes.
Yeah, each year different actually.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit different, yeah.
Or
Okay.
I guess
It
when
depends.
they finish the grade 9 and grade 11, I guess.
Okay, right. Now the question here is, okay, the English is probably used only in those schools that where English is important, right? Because you might have some schools focusing on Russian or maybe Chinese. I don't know. The question here is because I've developed different simulations for the Bulgarian state English examination, right? What? Excuse me? Oh, I'm not sure. You can't see my screen. Sorry.
Actually, I want to see this.
Right. So I've developed online interactive simulations for the state English exam in Bulgaria. All right. Let me just click one open. And the idea here, the question I have, is what are you doing in Uzbekistan? And if you think it would come on, load. Let me just let that load. You'll probably understand the first page, or some of it anyway. Welcome. Okay, right. So click to full. Right. Okay. Right. You can probably understand this from Russian because Bulgarian's a bit similar to Russian. We're not going to go into it right now, but it follows exactly the instructions on the written paper, and they're a bit complicated. But the question here is, okay, in Bulgaria, because students that take the Bulgarian state English examination can also use their scores, for entry into university. If they're entering into an English faculty in university, they can use their scores. And
no, we don't have this kind of schools at the end of term, but we have a CFR certificate, CFR examination, or IELTS examination. With this certificate, they can enter the university with just a high score.
Right. Okay. No, I understand. They have a qualifying score. Right. Okay. Right. That was my question. Right, guys. Before I go, do you have any questions before we go?
No.
Right. Okay. Now, guys, again, do the work. You need to study. If you're not reading, writing, listening, and speaking, every day, all day in English, C1 English, then you need to practice for the exam. Okay, that's the reality of the situation. And the more you study, the better you'll do on the exam, the better you will do in the competition, because this is a competition. And just like in Highlander, there can be only one, right? There can be only one, the last survivor, or let's say first place, okay, second place, and third place. But trying to make a joke. Sorry. Right. Okay, guys, you have your assignments, daily tasks. You have the reading part 5 and part 6, reading articles, reading for gist, understanding different information, the main topics from different texts, this and that. I've given you different texts you can read, or you can maybe choose your own topics and follow the strategies, and to learn how to process these big pieces of information as quickly and as effectively as possible. Okay, guys?
Okay. Got you.
Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you for your time and participation. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Session
Thank
2.
you.
Excuse me?
Likewise.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your
Okay, right. Okay, thank you very much. Good luck with your activities. And if you have any questions, I think my email was sent to all of you by group.
Yeah.
If you have any
Yeah.
questions, feel free to contact me directly. Okay?
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
guys.
Okay.
Good
Thank
luck.
you very
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
Okay. Ciao, ciao.
See.